Hello everybody, my name is Miss Oliveras and welcome again to another Algebra 1 math lesson, and today we are in lesson number 3 and we are solving equations by multiplying and dividing, and what we're doing is expanding our knowledge on the property of multiplication and division that we were studying in the last video. So after this lesson, you will be able to multiply and divide integers and rational numbers. And our vocabulary words are going to be the division rule and quotient. If you did not know what that means, it means that we are dividing. So let's start by discussing our multiplications of real numbers. And we're going to see this along this video, along this lesson, the multiplications of numbers with different signs. And when I talk about signs, it means real numbers that are positive and negative. And for those who did not know, when we multiply numbers that have different signs, that means that the product of our equation, of our expression, is gonna be a negative number. But if those numbers have the same sign, like both of them are positives or both of them are negatives, then the result of that multiplication is gonna be a positive number. Again, and this is only on multiplication and division. If we multiply a number that have the same sign, again, negative and negative or positive and positive, the result of that, the product of that is going to be a number with a positive sign. But if I am multiplying, and I have to restate this a lot, when we are multiplying, not adding or subtracting, but when we are multiplying numbers with different signs, all it means is that the product of that equation is gonna be a negative number. Okay, let's start with some easy problems. And in this case, I want you to figure out if the answer is going to be a positive or a negative number. So again, if I have a multiplication with a negative and a positive number, what type of sign do you think is going to be the product? If I have a negative and a negative number and I'm multiplying it, the product is going to be what sign? And again here, we have a positive and a negative. What is going to be the sign of that product? You can pause this video right here, try to answer them in your notebook, and then check out the answer in the next slide. All we did here was just multiply 4 times 2. It's 8, and because we have a negative number and a positive number, then my answer is going to be a negative number. In number B, we just multiplied 7 times 3, that was 21. And because I have a negative number and a negative number, then my answer or my product is going to be a positive number. If I have a positive number and a negative number, all I did was multiplying 4 times 6, that is 24. And because I have a positive and a negative number, that means my product is going to be a negative number. Now this is a little bit more trickier. I have a multiplication here, then I have a subtraction. Again here, we have a multiplication, I have a multiplication and a subtraction. So what is going to be my product? I know that if I multiply that 2 and that 3x, my product is going to be a negative number because my 2 is a positive number and my 3 is a negative number. But then I have a subtraction here. So how is that going to plan out? Again, please pause this video and try to answer this on your notebook. Then let's check out the answers in the next slide. So all I did right here was just follow my order of operations. I first have a multiplication and then I have a subtraction. And I first did my multiplications, and 2 times 3x is going to be 6x. And because one of them is a negative and the other one is a positive, then my result or my product of that multiplication is going to be a negative number. Then I just took down my subtraction and solved for that. Negative x minus 10x is going to be negative 16x. In number B, all I did again was just multiply 5s multiplied by negative 5r, and that is going to be 25SR. And because one of them is a positive and the other one is a negative, my product is going to be a negative. And again, I did this exact same thing here. 2x multiplied by negative 3y is going to be a negative 6xy. Why a negative? Because one of them is a negative and the other one is a positive, and that is why my product here is going to be a negative. And now I can do my subtraction. I'm going to subtract it to 7xy, and that's going to give me a product of negative 13xy. So we started with very simple problems, and little by little we are complicating them a little bit. So you can pause this video at this time and try to solve them. And what we're going to do is that we're going to substitute now. We have that n equals a fifth, or 1 over 5. And all you have to do is wherever you see that n, you're going to substitute that n with that fraction. Again, you can pause this video, write it down on your notebook, and then check out the answers in the next slide. So let's check out our answers. And all I did here was just substitute my variable n with my 1 over 5, just right here. And because I had that exponent, all I did was just put that 1 over 5 inside parentheses and raise it to the second power. That's going to be 1/25. And then I'm going to multiply it with my other number. And because one of them is positive and the other one is a negative, my product is going to be a negative. Again, here we are doing the exact same thing. We have a positive, and I am multiplying it, and 10 multiplied by 1 over 5 is going to be 2. We do the exact same thing right here. Then we're going to multiply it. Once we multiply them, we can add them. And the answer is going to be 5. If you had a 5, then congratulations. Great job. So I have here a word problem. And my word problem says an average person needs to drink 2 liters of water a day. How many liters of water an average person drinks in 1 month? And now we can convert that month into days, and how many days are in a month? If you said 30, you are correct. Now you can also say 28 or 31 depending on the month, but we know that the average month has 30 days. So we're going to use a 30 in this example. And all I did here was multiply my 2 liters with my 30 days, and that is going to give me 60 liters. Again, I had a positive number multiplying another positive number, and it gave me a positive result. So now let's go over our division rule. And our division rule is what it says is that when we divide a number a, and a can be any number, by a non-zero number b, and again b can be any number except 0, multiply a by the reciprocal b is the same thing. That means that when we are dividing a and b, when b is not 0, is the same as multiplying a with the reciprocal of b. Now let's put that to the test, shall we? If you have a division, and again, this is also considered a division, and this you have 2 divisions here, so I'm going to go over that in a little while. So all you have to do is convert it to the multiplication of the reciprocal of that number. Again, just pause this video, try to answer this as best as you can, and check out the answers on the next slide. So let's check them out. I have negative 55 divided by 11, and I can also write it down in this form. I have negative 55 divided by 11. And 55 divided by 11 is going to be 5. And because one is a negative and one is a positive, my answer is going to be a negative. Again, or I'm just going to pass that negative down. Again, here we have 18 divided by negative 6, and that is going to be negative 3. Why? Because one of them is a positive, the other one is a negative. Now here we had a little bit of confusion. It looked like a big mess, but don't worry, it is not. And what it says is that we are dividing that 1. We are dividing that 5 over 4. That's all it says. And if we remember our division rules, if we are dividing a number with the other one, we can use the reciprocal number of that division and turn it into a multiplication. That's all we have to do. So instead of dividing 1 divided by 5 over 4, we can multiply 1 by 4 over 5. And we know that anything that we multiply by 1 is going to be the same number. So our answer is going to be 4 over 5. Or 4/5, sorry. Now let's talk about the sign of quotient. That means division. And just like in multiplication, if I have two numbers with the same sign, my result is going to be a positive number. And if I have numbers with different signs, one of them is positive and the other one is negative, then my result is going to be a negative number. Now let's try to simplify each expression. And when we have this type of expression, we have a number minus another number. We know that we can separate that number into twos. And just pause this video this time and just try to do it by yourself. And then let's check out the answers in the next page. So what we did here, we just separated our equations into two terms. We have 12 over 4. And we just pass that it's not a negative, that is a subtraction sign, and then we just separated that other fraction. Now we divided here and then we divided here, and then we are left with that expression. We cannot keep on doing anything else in that expression because that number 3 does not have the same variable that that number 4 have. And if we were multiplying them, then we could do them, but because we are subtracting, we cannot keep on simplifying that equation. It has to stay there. Here we did the exact same thing. We just separated those into two terms. We solve each side, and then we just left it there because we only have one number with a variable. The other one doesn't have a variable. Therefore, we have to stop there because we're not multiplying. If we were multiplying, then we will continue. But because we are subtracting, it's just the same as adding. We just stay there. And again, with the exact same thing with number C. So let's try a few more problems, and all you have to do here is evaluate each expression when a equals -1 and b equals -2. And what you're going to do is you're just going to substitute the value of each variable in each expression. For example, you have 3a, you're going to substitute that a for -1, and then you're going to answer that expression. Again, please try to stop the video right here. Write it down on your notebook and then check out the answers on the next slide. And all that we did here was just substitute those values. We have 3 times -1 is going to be -3. And then we just solve that subtraction. And if we have a negative and a negative together, then those are going to turn into a positive. So we have -1 plus 2. And then we're going to just solve that division, and we know that anything divided into 1 is going to be the same number, and that is going to be my solution to it. Again, all I did here was just substitute the numbers, the b with the -2, the a with the -3, And because we have an exponent here, all I did was just multiply whatever I had there inside 3 times because it's to the third power. And -1 times -1 is going to be +1 times -1 is going to be a -1. Then we're going to solve for this equation, and we have 8 divided by -1, and because we have a positive and a negative, my number is going to turn to be a negative. That's going to be my result. And I did the exact same thing here. Again, we just exchange the value of that variable, a for the -1 and b with the -2. Then I solve using my order of operations. I started with my multiplication and the part that was down. Then I did my subtraction. And because I had a negative number, that was going to turn into an addition right there. And because I had a negative number in top and a positive number on the bottom, my number is going to be a negative. Now it's time to put that knowledge to the test, and all you have to do is go to your math textbook, and remember that textbook must say Common Core on the top of the book, on the cover of the book, sorry. And you're going to go to page 27, and your page 27, you're going to do those exercises there. Once you answer them in your notebook, please go to our Google form and send me those answers. There I can collect that information and just have an evidence that you are doing your homework. And I hope you enjoyed this small little video and see you in the next class. Bye!